Welcome to Colliers TV, and today we have the one and only Mr. Boman Irani, founder, chairman and managing director, Rustomjee Group. Thanks for being with us. Very, very famous personality in the real estate circles. Thanks for your time. So, Boman, such a smart, brilliant, strong personality, dynamic personality. What brought you into real estate?
I think if you look at real estate, it requires people with a vision because they say first you create the homes and then the home creates you. I've been a firm believer that a city will live better or start to become better if you provide good homes to everybody. And from the start at Rustomjee, our mantra has been that you should build a home like as if you were going to live in it. So that the carpenter's story, which we all know, building homes for his master for so many years, and the last home belonged to him, and he actually did not do a very good job, stayed with me all my life. And I think it is important that more and more progressive-minded, and as we are seeing now the trend that even the bigger companies are all foraying into real estate, we decided that real estate would be, roti, kapda and makan, how wrong can you go over there? With all the new age businesses, etc., that continue to be there, I look at a strong integration into our business itself. Everybody finally needs a roof over their head. Everybody is going to need, whether you work out of your home space or an office space, or no matter how the world changes in the future, you will need what is called that nest of yours where you have to come back or where you have to kind of grow in life. So actually, real estate has been, architecture has been a kind of a passion without even knowing it. I used to, for long years of my life, my dad has had his office somewhere near VT, and I used to actually go and look at the Victoria Terminus building. And if you observe that building even today, it's about 170 years old, but you'd be surprised, even the pipes that bring the water down, right, from the roof are part of the architecture. You'll never see them separately. Do not look at the building from the way it's turned out today with, just the roughshod work that was done over time. But the way the architect had designed it then, everything was thought about. So there was such a beauty and grace to that building that it always drew me there. Even today, if you ask me what's the maximum amount of time I spend in my business, it is towards these little improvisations or nitty-gritties or essentials that form a very important part of your home. Things that may never be seen, but if they aren't there, we felt very, very bad. It's like salt, right? If you don't have it in your food, you feel it very, very bad. So exactly what we at Rustomjee always focus on.
Yeah, and interesting, and I think that's been the success of your brand, because in probably less than 2 decades, you've had a huge growth, especially the last 5 years. And I think the customer centricity, that is what your brand is associated with, and I think that comes exactly with what you told us just.
Yeah, tagline has been, it's thoughtful, it's Rustomjee. And you won't believe this is not just a tagline that came out of some, association with some company that said, this sounds so good and let's do it. We had 600 man hours spent by 28 members of our top team, locked up into a room and, spent 2 days entirely over there and were given exercises to be told or to come up with a theory or a strategy as to what the future should look like for Rustomjee. And we decided we've always had it in our DNA, and we decided to start expressing this openly, right? So it's thoughtful is about everything that we do. We will not follow the herd. We will not go ahead and just do something because it's trendy. But we will definitely not leave out anything that is absolutely essential to a good life. To the extent that things like a sewage treatment plant for projects, we did long before it became the norm by environmental authorities, etc. Things like access for those wheelchair driven, we've had it in our projects from day one. In 1996, the first project also has a ramp for people to be able to access it. So I think it's part of our DNA now. We're just shouting it out so the world comes to know about it, because they say there's no point at winking at a girl in the dark room. She should also know that you're winking at her. So I want my customers to definitely know we at Rustomjee think about every one of them and their needs, and we are very clear. We want to be the brand of choice to those who value what we do. We don't want everybody as our customer, because there will be people who will go for the lowest price. There'll be people who might not want all the finer aspects of life. And when I say finer, I don't mean for the ultra rich. I mean finer as in betterment of your life as my consumer is very, very essential to me.
Better, not cheaper. That's something which I've read with with your profile?
So people keep asking me, and I always say Rustomjee has, so the affordable housing tag. I said we may not be affordable, but we are definitely value for money housing tag. We will build in for every rupee that you have given us. You should be happy that that rupee was, invested. They say the price will be long forgotten, the quality will be remembered forever. So I'm a firm believer in these old adages, that go on and specify how life should actually be thought about and lived. Yeah.
So you've got interest across sectors. You've got townships, residential, your corporate parks, retail. Which has been the most satisfying experience for you?
So at Rustomjee, I think the skill sets that we've developed over a period of time is larger developments. And we've always wanted to be at the mid portion of your entire, demand cycle, where we believe the highest number of consumers are who deserve a better life. And maybe for whatever ways the housing industry has progressed, the upper end got taken very well, was very well taken care of. And the lower end became the government's responsibility. So, they did their job. And then, of course, the absolute lower end, which is the slum proliferation we've seen in the city of Mumbai and other cities, got taken care of by itself, by those that, took care of them. We believed that if you provide a proper home to a proper salaried, to a salaried employee, one of those that you call the hard-working, tax-paying, rule-abiding person, there is a huge market for that. So towards that, we stayed with, 2 BHKs and 3 BHKs wherever we went. Then we decided we want to do something large. So we went to a place called Thana, which was about like 12, 14 years back. And we started land acquisition out there with the single purpose that we wanted to build. At that point of time, Thana was the low-cost housing. And we had it in our DNA to do very mass, low-cost housing at that point of time. Of course, then Thana has its own story and it kept on growing. And today the Thana that is there is no longer the low-cost market. So having faced or having seen the success of that particular segment, we went to a place called Virar. And in Virar, we did a fantastic tie-up with another developer. And I must tell you, the synergy that has worked for us has been so amazing that, when two like-minded developers actually come together and try to create a good township, you should go and see Global City. We've created everything for those who want a value for money house at 25 to 50 lakh rupee bracket, except for the brand being Virar or it being a slightly, travel challenge. You have to go to our township. There is everything that you and I would want to live in there for. There are schools. There is a fantastic school, international school out there. Our clubhouse is a little bigger than CCI. So we have every conceivable facility in that clubhouse for the people out there. And it's not expensive. It's really made for those people. Then we realized at Rustomjee that there is a very large redevelopment segment. People are living in old homes only because they are not getting the opportunity, or they have to move out of their old homes to be able to allow a developer to come in, build new homes for them, and then that trust factor that they'll get their homes back. So we started with a very small redevelopment project where we had only 12 members. And from that, Rustomjee has grown from strength to strength. And today, I think we've done more than 1,000 members have been rehoused in their homes itself. And we've got projects going on where there are about 500 odd families. When I say 500 members means 500 families, 1,000 members means 1,000 families. These 500 families are outside their homes and in process. In the next 1.5 to 2 years, all these guys will be given their homes. And we continue to grow in that segment. Mumbai is an old city. It will require people to come in and rebuild a city. And I believe that we are well poised for that because we've got our strengths in being able to construct large-scale townships. We've got our ability to, bring forth to the table transparency that every person who's, already there in that house is moving out and coming back. At least he should have full knowledge of what we are doing and how we are doing it. And fortunately at Rustomjee, the brand has always been able to command a very good sales volume across the board. So in all the bleak periods and lean periods that people have been talking about, we've consistently performed. And one of the key reasons I can say for that is our DNA goes down to every sales guy that is sitting across. He knows that the brand is backing him on everything that he does. So yes, we've been across the entire spectrum. We are building some of the highest value homes. If it's Bandra West or it's Bandra East or it's Juhu, we are there. And we are also there in Virar. We are also there in Thane. And now we are about to, we are already, chosen as a developer for a very large redevelopment which is going to be very city centric. I'm not going to take names of the place because we're still in the process of getting that done. But when that is done, I assure you that Rustomjee will be the chosen developer for all of the, or as much of the remaking of Mumbai by the authorities, because we'll create a landmark out there, by the people who live in those buildings, because they'll have seen what we've created for the people who've gotten that development. And we've got a mindset that is all about speed, quality, and assurance that what we say is what we will provide. I'm really looking forward to this next opportunity, and maybe in 3 years' time when we meet again, and I'll be speaking about it with a lot more in-depth knowledge as to what can be done for the future of the city itself.
Yeah, I mean, that it's already spoken about, and I wish you all the best. Bombay, Chinese whispers. So, but yeah, I'm sure that will turn out well. But I know, and your brand is rock solid. But given the current market scenario, you've got elements which is premium. How are you faring with that in the present market condition?
So whether it is the low-cost house, which I call the value for money, or I give a very premium product, it's still value for money. And if you go to Elements, you'd be happy to see that everything has been thought of. There is not a square inch of space that has not been utilized. Even if I have created the largest out there, it is all with a purpose. There is no area in that entire house which I would say has not been planned by, let's say, the best minds in the business, and then of course meddled with by us to give that little bit of Rustomjee flavor to it. So even our balcony, which is like an extremely larger space, we created because we wanted to create that feeling of that sense of pride that you own a home that is really large. And how do you create that largest? You can create it in the master bathrooms, you can create it in the lobbies, you can create it in the decks or balconies that you give. And Elements has been doing fairly well. We have, I should say this, successfully completed the sales and are still growing at an average of about, well, much higher than the market, at let's say almost 100% of what the market is doing, 100% more than what the market in that area is doing, by some of 2 or 3 of the better developers who are already working in that area. And not because it's only the brand, but genuinely you have to look at what we've provided. We've gone ahead and pulled all stops out for a person who's ready to pay the top dollar, and given or created for him an apartment which is going to be something for as a place of pride. And towards this, I can only tell you that two of the I should not say two, but some of the best known developers from and out of Mumbai have picked up apartments out there, and that speaks a lot about that project. When a developer comes in and says, man, this is beautiful, I really want a house out here, even if he's not going to stay there all the time, and he comes from out of Mumbai, he wants to call it his abode. And I actually asked this question, I said, dude, are you buying this because it's an investment? He says, absolutely not. This is mine and I want to keep it, and I want to, whenever I'm in Mumbai, I want to kind of spend time out here. So that was like a feather in our cap.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no, fantastic. You've built such a strong brand, but you still have been able to give time to give back to society. And your child initiative is one thing which is really amazing. I mean, where did that stem from?
Education has been at the heart of Rustomjee. When we did our first project, we had a school built in over there, and I think today we have more than 12,000 children in our 3 institutions. Other than that, we've taken up a very, well, I believe a social but a good cause, where we train people for vocational skills. And vocational training, according to me, is an essential, integral part of the growth of this country itself. If I don't have trained people working for me, I'm always going to spend that much more time, reinventing the wheel every single day. And we have the manpower. We have the strong resource we have as manpower. It is our belief that this manpower needs to be trained so that they can start getting jobs. Our education system turns out to, create more babus and, desk job people. We believe if vocational training is given to people who are out of the 10th standard, and by the time they're, let's say 18 or 19, they can go out there and start earning their bread. I'm of the view that it's a strong way of keeping people on the straight and narrow path in life. We are blessed as a group, because everybody who aligns with us, and the child initiative or the child education initiative actually came out in one of our meetings with our salespeople, who said that, sir, we should do something different. So I said, what do you think we should do? And I said, look, education is closest to my heart. I don't build temples, I don't build churches, but I build educational institutions, and I'd be happy to kind of do that. They said, why don't you do one thing? we create initiatives for sales teams to go out there and achieve. They said take something away from our sales initiative and put it back to the child. And I was happiest on that particular day when my entire team was actually thinking like me, right? Then they were thinking like the Rustomjee ethos or the Rustomjee philosophy, that you have to give back. So trust me, nothing is done by me. It is all done by our team. Our team is one of the best and the finest. And I always tell people who kind of leave us to go to other places, keep the Rustomjee flag flying high. Spread the good word of everything that is done out here. If more people do only the same things that we are doing, there's a need for a lot more to do that. And I'm perfectly happy with that. This initiative had nothing to do with me except being part of the curator out there. Everything else was part of my sales team, and I kind of applaud them for it. They actually gave back a part of their incentive, and then I added to that and said, let's educate one child for every apartment sold at Rustomjee, whether it's the lowest cost or the highest apartment. We are educating one child. So at one point of time when we sold about 5,000 apartments in Virar, there are 5,000 children who are reaping the benefit of it.
Really super.
Yes, I think it's essential. You can't grow unless everybody around you grows. You can't create a vacuum between you and your neighbors and say I live in Ivory Tower and that guy lives in the dumps. It won't happen. We'll pay the price if we continue in our short-sightedness towards that. And I'm a firm believer that if you don't take everybody and you're not going to rise. You need people around you to rise with you.
The entire Parsi community must be proud of you. We've got two same names, Boman Irani, who's right at the top in construction, and we've got the actor, the all-famous actor.
Trust me, he's a lot more famous. And he says this time and again on various programs and stage, and I'll say it openly, I have reaped a lot more benefit out of his name. The first one being that before he came into the picture, people could not pronounce a simple name like Boman, and I was called everything but Boman. And now after his coming in, at least people are able to pronounce my name pretty easy. So thanks, Boman. I really appreciate that.
It's been really nice having you on show, Boman. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.